The Grand Dame is back and nobody is safe. From that messy Colorado trip to Wendy's legal issues. But was Karen's read on Wendy justified or was it just plain cruel? Let's get into it as we recap season 10 Real Housewives of Potomac reunion part 3 finale. So we start the reunion off with Monique and her phone. Now, y'all know Monique is one good for a prop. One year she had the infamous binder, and now this year she has her phone. But the episode part 3 picks up with Monique sharing, I guess, a voice note, a voice message, whatever she had in that phone, of someone justifying it or someone telling her that Stacy is in fact the one going back and telling her ex-husband, Chris Samuels, that she's talking about him, their legal, their divorce, and their family issues on the show, which prompted him to do a cease and desist. Now, because she does not share, you cannot hear they bleeped it all out. We don't know what exactly was said. But from the look in Monique's face, whatever was said, she was convinced that it was the truth, and Stacey is, in fact, the person relaying this information. Now, me personally, I don't know what to believe. I kind of don't believe it, but that's just me. But of course, Ann chimes Kiana. I'm so tired of her. Please go away. I'm tired of her. She had way more energy for Stacey issues than her own issues, and I'm really over it. And to me, she gets so intense when she speaks and when she jumps on the bandwagon whenever somebody's attacking Stacey. So I don't like that. It's like have that intensity when it's your issues. When they're talking about that man that won't marry you, have that same level of intensity. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so yeah, we didn't get a chance to hear any of that conversation or the phone recording, so I don't know what to believe, but hopefully they'll eventually release it and then we can move on from it. I give them 24 hours, 48 at the most. If she has not released it, I don't care and I don't want to hear it. The only thing I don't want to happen is for her, Monique, to come back to the show and be like everybody else because it seems like everyone wants to be friends with Giselle. And so whoever Giselle is hating at the moment, they decide to hop on that hate train. So the one thing I don't want from her is to come back and now she jump on the I hate Stacey hate train. Because at the end of the day, unless you heard it for your own ears, you don't know if Stacey actually is the culprit behind telling Chris Samuels what's being said in during recording. So I mean, you can have have that side eye on it, but don't jump on that train because Monique came back in such a tranquil place that, she's not on that anymore. And I don't want her to want to be friends with Giselle so bad that she starts acting like her and Ashley, okay? Because this I hate Stacy thing is played out. Let's not go into season 11 with that again. Please. And we're gonna move on too. But do you guys believe Stacy? Drop down in the comments and let me know. So Giselle does not regret when they were in Neva's giving Stacey a role with her name embroidered on it like she did everybody else. She does not regret doing that. However, her only regret with that is she regrets not getting it in Stacey's actual size. And then they went on to the infamous potato salad at the Cowboys and Ponies party or whatever it was. But you know what? One thing I noticed about that, no matter throughout this whole season, no matter how much they tried to play Stacey, Stacey has been a good sport about it all. She smiles and she takes it in with grace and going on about her business. You don't see her getting upset, crying about it, acting out, none of that. So she's a really good sport. I just wanted to mention that because I've noticed that over the season, but that potato salad didn't look good. But it probably was good. Who knows? So we finally get to the final conversation regarding this Colorado trip. I am so over. I really hope they don't ever talk about this again. Giselle and Kiana start having a back and forth. Their whole little back and forth about it, and Kiana saying, "Well, this was not the first trip that things went wrong." She said when they went to Dominican Republic, she had mold in her room and she had to be moved to another hotel room overnight. And Giselle feels like, okay, no water versus the mold issue, water trumps that. I don't think so. I think the mold issue is more serious. Now, water, you can go and you can go to somebody else's room and get that. But if you have mold in your room, that's health related. I understand you want to wash your ass and everything. I get that part for the water issue. But I think because it's a health concern, the mold issue is a little bit more serious for me. That's just me. I don't know about y'all. But again, Andy calls it best. Let's just be done with that and never bring that up again. And so we break for commercial or an interlude, and it was so dramatic, the opening. The Grand Dame has returned. Karen Huger has returned back to the stage. And Karen mentions that she's tried to shed the whole Grand Dame title, but the people won't let her. Now, me personally, I don't think it's so much as the people won't let her. I think it's her ego won't let her. That's just me. And we like Karen over here, but I just feel like it's her ego won't let her shed that title. That Grand Dame title is rooted in so many things, but according to Sharice, she allegedly gave it to her to be funny. But Karen has taken it on. It's got a whole new life. Go ahead, Grand Dame, whatever. So Karen, as she proceeds to ask Stacy, "What have you lied about?" Now, let me tell you something I did notice about that when it was said. Yeah, everybody is jumping on this Stacy as a liar bandwagon, and some things have been very unclear from Stacy this whole season. I won't take that away, but I think, no, I don't think. I feel that Miss Karen, you can't say that because you've been lying for 10 seasons straight, allegedly. I mean, with all due respect, some things in your storylines have not added up either. So don't call out one liar if you ain't gonna call out yourself. That's just me. That's just me, y'all. Don't get mad at me for saying it, but I had to say it. Very important part. Andy asked Karen, does she consider herself an alcoholic? Because according to him, and we all saw it too, I did a video on that. So I'll link the video at the end of this video, my whole take on that one-on-one sit down with Karen and Andy after she was released from prison. But he asked her, does she consider herself an alcoholic? Because she seemed rather uncomfortable answering that question. And she did. That goes into, when we were talking about in the previous video, in my recap of that episode, that it did not seem that she had taken full accountability because, as Andy stated, that's like step one of AA and realizing you in fact have an issue and owning up to an issue of substance abuse. You have to admit to yourself and everybody else around you that you are an alcoholic. But it seemed that Karen did not want to admit that. She just said she considers herself a woman in a lifetime recovery. I don't know. To me, that does not speak accountability. I can't say if the woman that ever go back to drinking again, which we hope she won't, because that situation could have been really, really bad for her and anybody else out there on the roads. But praise God, she made it out alive. No judgment. But yeah, and Karen does admit she cops to the story from Ashley that someone told Ashley that Karen goes to a particular restaurant, I guess, in the Potomac area, and she day drinks and gets drunk. So Karen did cop to that. Bravo to Karen. But when it came to the story that Dr. Wendy gave, that someone had been telling her that Karen was coming and day drinking and getting drunk, Karen was not having it. She did not cop to it, which I kind of felt like she wouldn't, whether it was true or it wasn't. She was not going to cop to that because it came from Wendy. And her and Wendy are at odds, which brings me into the next thing. Karen feels like the breakdown of her relationship with Wendy was because Wendy took Stacy's side last season when they were at that charity event, and Stacy told Wendy that Karen allegedly said that she was absorbed and all about herself and to not trust her. And at that time, it hurt Wendy because her and Karen were really good friends. And so Wendy felt genuinely betrayed that Karen would say that about her because she seemed to have held Karen in high regards. But then Wendy comes back and she says that the betrayal came in for her when Karen called her mom a witch. Now, Y'all know, was it last season or the season before when that girl Nneka, she was on there for one season. She referred to Wendy's mom as a witch and said that she was putting spells on, on people. And that was this whole running joke that she did some kind of witchcraft. And so they flashed back after Wendy said that that was her issue, that Wendy called her mom a witch. And they flashed back. But Karen, in fact, did not call her mom a witch. She was telling Wendy that when the girls were referring to your mom as a witch, I had your back. And I feel like you did not have mine with the whole Stacy situation. She faltered. So I get that. Karen did not call her mom a witch. So for me, that was Wendy taking an inch and running and making the daggone foot out of it because she did not call your mom a witch. Unless we missed something, she didn't say that. She said if or when they called her a witch, I had your back. And so Karen then says she agrees with the mom. She says she watched this season and she agrees with Wendy's mom when she told her to shut the fuck. And so at that point, Giselle was like, Karen, like she shouldn't say that. And it was kind of mean because of the situation that Wendy was going through when her mom told her that. That was a hurtful situation. So yeah, that was kind of mean. But Karen goes a little bit further into what she really meant by saying that. And we'll get into that shortly. But now they go into Wendy's package. And so they flash back over the season and show Dr. Wendy, her renovating her house, and then, boom, they break out and show all the headlines. Dr. Wendy her and her husband Eddie has been arrested for alleged fraud and so on and so forth. Y'all remember the headlines. One thing I did say in the beginning of this season and throughout this season, Wendy was being extra flashy this season. I have never seen her like that. I did a video recently, one of my past recaps, that it seemed that Wendy to me was trying to portray herself as something that she wasn't or she isn't. This ditzy woman that dresses like a video vixen, it was just not becoming of the Dr. Wendy we fell in love with on her first season. It was just not that. And then this whole money ain't a thing kind of lifestyle, renovating the house. The mama did not make it any better because she came off as, y'all gotta live up to, take care of her and spend all this money. Look how y'all have me dressed and it's Gucci and it's Fendi and so on and so forth. So for Wendy going through fraud charges, and there have been allegations that she is broke and all these credit cards, which we'll touch on that in a second. This whole season did not do her any favors. It didn't. It didn't do her any favors to me. She put too much out there. And I understand maybe at that time she didn't know what was happening, but I'll say this. Even if there is a chance, and I'm not saying that she did, and this is all alleged, but even if there is or was a chance that she is guilty of anything fraudulent, you did not do yourself any favors by showing so much of a flashy lifestyle on this show. Because one thing for fact, two things for sure, and again, I've been saying this all season long. They are watching along with everybody else, like just like we're watching. Because y'all remember when I don't know if you guys did it, but do y'all remember when everything first dropped about Dr. Wendy? We all, and I know I did, I'm guilty of it. We all were watching her every move to say to look and see what she had on, what kind of jewelry she had on, because y'all know there was some things about some jewelry that she reported stolen, and then she turned back around and was wearing it allegedly. I was watching everything. So just like we're watching everything with a microscope, I'm sure the feds are watching too. So yeah, that did not do her any favors. So they did some flashbacks. Well, they did the flashbacks and then they did a flashback on the 101 for Angel, and she said she felt like Wendy was deflecting and putting the spotlight on her because she already knew what she was going through. And then she closed it off by saying, well, I hope justice will be served. And so Andy asked her, what does she mean by that? And she said that she meant that Wendy would receive full legal due process and, everything was supposed to come out will come out, whatever she said, but I don't buy that shit. You know what you meant. You didn't mean it in that nice way. You were upset in your feelings, and just like Ashley allegedly, y'all were laughing at her like, "Ha ha, now they got her ass. Payback." So that's not what you meant, Angel. Let's call a spade a spade. Here you go, not telling the truth again. Tell the truth, shame the devil. So then Kiana jumps in again, and she believes that her and Wendy's relationship went the way that it went because of Wendy's legal issues. And so that's when Wendy chimed in and she said, first off, first, she went into the whole spiel about how they went on vacation. Allegedly, they went on vacation and they came back home, and her daughter went upstairs and said, Mom, the dog is torn up. The dog messed everything up, tore everything up. And so her husband, Eddie, ran upstairs and he ran back down and said something bad had happened. Somebody had broken the house. And so she went into that whole spiel of calling the police and then how the police came back a year later in 2025. And this was in 2024. But the police came back a year later, like, hi, remember us? And there was no robbery. She said, oh yeah, I remember. Y'all came over about the robbery. And the police were like, yeah, but there was no robbery. This is where, so hold on, let me just say this. And so she justified what Kiana was trying to accuse her of to say that we didn't even know about this whole case. The case, they hadn't even come back to our house at that point and charged us with anything when me and you were going through our issues. But this is the thing. You shouldn't have said nothing. It's not that important to justify anything, to Kiana especially. The only people you need to be justified something at this point is to Maryland courthouse or whatever they call it over there, the legal department over there. Those are the only people you need to be justifying anything regarding this case too. Okay. And we'll get back into that in a minute. But Giselle says she does not believe that was the reason for Kiana and Wendy's fallout. She does not believe that. But then they flash back to Wendy telling Giselle and the rest of the girls, I guess last year, that she was in the dark about how her mortgage was paid. She didn't know this, she didn't know that about her mortgage. Again, here we go again with this ditzy black girl thing. I do not like that for her. It was so unbecoming of a scholar like Dr. Wendy, a political commentator. I just cannot believe for the life in me that you, of all people, 4 degrees, do not know how to pay your mortgage or what account your mortgage is coming out of. A strong African black woman. I can't go for that. I feel like this just, again, this facade that she's putting up to fit in with these reality TV girls. But Giselle was telling her, you should always know where your finances are going and coming from. You should know everything. You should never be left in the dark. So if this is true that she does not know where, how, or what account her mortgage is being paid out of, who is being paid to, then I suggest she hop on that, because maybe you being blinded or trying to be blind to where money is coming and going could have possibly led you into the issue in the case that you're in. So again, one of those things that is just not smart to be saying on this show. It was just not smart, in my opinion. And so, yeah, her telling that play by play, and then Karen tells her, and remember, we talked about in the beginning, Karen told her she agreed with her mom when she said, shut the up. And so Karen comes back in and she tells her, maybe I worded that in the wrong way, but you do. You need to be quiet, because just like I just said, and Karen said, when you talk, they watch. She's right. Because I'm sure when she went to court, they probably brought up some things from the show. She is 100% right. And who better to take that from? When you talk, they are watching. Dr. Wendy, be quiet. You're doing too many interviews. You're talking about it on this reunion. And I'm with Karen. I would have just had to tell Andy, I don't care. And she said that her attorney, her legal counsel advised her, he was aware of the line of questioning, and he advised her that it was okay for her to talk about that part of it because it's all out there in the news, it's in the public. But let me tell you something. I would not have said nothing. Andy couldn't get shit out of me. because at the end of the day, you can slip up and say the wrong thing and boom, they got you just that fast. Just don't say nothing at all. I'm sorry, Andy. I'm just gonna have to decline this line of questioning when it comes because this is still an ongoing legal case and it's very much open. I don't want to incriminate myself or anybody else involved. I'm not gonna talk about it so you can move on. There is a such thing of doing that. I understand that it's an elephant in the room for this reunion, but when you facing something so serious, I don't give a damn about this show that at that point. Okay. If they don't like it, they don't have to invite me back. But I don't give a damn. I'm not. I care more about going to prison than I do about disappointing viewers or Andy, or what these chicks on this stage think. I could care less. And which Wendy did say, later on that she does not care to try to prove anything to anyone, but you explaining anything about this case, that didn't show it. That showed that you were still trying to hold on to your pride and explain something. And see, that's the thing. That's the thing right there when it comes to Dr. Wendy. I think she has a lot of pride, which on one token is a good thing, but I think when you're facing case so serious, I think it's a really bad thing. You guys get what I'm saying? It's a really bad thing. And you have to put that pride aside. I would have been let me tell y'all something. I would have been so tied up and tucked up, bump all that video vixen clothes and all these nice gowns, child. I don't know. I probably would have had on a sweatsuit. I'd have been no. I'd have been so pulled together and back to Dr. Wendy from her first season, political commentator voice. I'm not here to joke with y'all. I'm not here to do any of that with y'all. Like I have an image that I now have to go back and put back out there. So these people won't lock my ass up. Like that's just me. I would have been doing everything. Y'all remember how Karen came on, even though it didn't save her on the last reunion. She just looked a mess with that knitted hat on or whatever. She looked a mess, but I don't blame Karen. I would too. And that's what Dr. Wendy should have did. So it does seem to me her pride is still in place and Karen is going to say something at the end that it stands true. I was 100% with Karen when she said it, but we'll get to that. What does she have to say to the viewers and the fans of the show who've been saying that, throughout the season, it seems like Dr. Wendy is what I just said that Dr. Wendy was trying to keep up with the other girls, from the way she dressed, from the way she spoke, from the amount of money that she spent. She was trying to portray an image. And also in the court records or what has been released in the tabloids, they're saying that she is in heavy debt. And that could potentially allegedly be the reason why they would have had to have all these different credit cards and doing those insurance scams allegedly because they're in debt and they're still trying to keep up a lifestyle. And that's when Wendy pretty much says she does not have to explain anything to the fans or anybody else. But again, you just did. And then she says that they brought up the 67 aliases or credit cards under Pam Oliver, Eddie Hennessy, and different things like that, allegedly. She says that it was not, in fact, the cards that were registered in those different names. It was the packaging. I guess because they're public figures for privacy reasons. But you still have other mail that comes to your house and it's in your name. So who was the privacy for? The mailman? I'm just curious. I'm not accusing. I'm just curious. I want to know just like the rest of y'all want to know. Who was it? Why? Other things come to your house? Why those? I'm not getting to it. Allegedly. Allegedly. Right. But she was asked, how was it with her family? And good thing she said, with every cloud, there's always a silver lining. And her mom and her sister were the first to be on scene when this all happened. So no matter what we've seen in the season with her mom getting into this big blow up and her sister and they walking out on her mama telling her to shut, the silver lining is they've all had her back and as well as Eddie's family as well, because y'all remember from when she first started on the show, she has always made it clear that Eddie and his family were estranged because they did not like her. So they didn't want him to marry her and they all became estranged. Which y'all remember on like past last season, they were at her 40th birthday party, and so they were seeing they were it seemed that they were on the road to patching things up, so that's good that her family is there for her and his family is there as well. Sometimes it's nothing like a tragic situation, or not really tragic, but a really serious situation such as a legal situation, bringing family close back together. Again, silver lining, gift and a curse, catch 22. Y'all know how it goes. But Karen did close off with saying this in her departing words to Wendy. She did say this, and it stood out to me. If you get real with yourself, you'll be a better you. That has so many layers to it right there to me, because at the end of the day, she's right. If you get real with yourself, again, I cannot drive this enough, and I could be wrong. Maybe this is the real Dr. Wendy. And the one from the earlier seasons, that was who she was trying to be to impress the girls. Who knows? I don't know. But from my perspective, I don't think that's the real her. So Karen hit the nail right on the head. And I think Karen knows that's not the real her. So get back in your political commentator bag, your John Hopkins University prestigious professor bag. Get back there, because this ditzy Instagram girl and whatever she's portraying, it's not you. If you get back to it, it'll all work out and you'll be a better you. So that was a great closing for Karen. Very great closing. Now, I also felt like in that moment, was it just me or y'all too? Y'all didn't feel like it was so soft that moment was? It felt like that could be a slight opening for reconciliation between Wendy and Karen. We gonna hope for that, because I really do love Wendy and Karen being friends. I really do, because they seem to have been great friends. So I hope, just with that even being said and everything she's going through, that is the silver lining to get them back to where they need to be at. Bring them back together, because Karen is somebody that's been through it. And she did say no matter what they're going through, she prayed that Wendy never knows the feeling of taking her freedom, having her freedom taken from her. So that was a good thing. That was a really good thing. But did y'all notice no packaging for Giselle? No packaging, no first seat either. Something about me, something to me says that's a sign. I don't know. Could that be a sign that Giselle, because you didn't bring anything, not only do you not get first seed, you don't even get a package? Could that be you don't get a champagne flute next season? But maybe a friend of role because you didn't bring anything? I guess we'll have to wait and see, because something about that, it didn't sit right with me. Pay attention. Always pay attention to signs and warnings. But I want to know this from you guys. Who do you guys think will be coming back next season? Now, this is just an early prediction, because we're about to get into Real Housewives of Atlanta now. But I want to know, just thinking ahead for next season of Real Housewives of Potomac, who do y'all think will stay and who will go? I predict Ashley will be a friend of. I think Monique will come back as a full-time housewife, because she has a story there. I think she's gonna ride the wave of this whole Chris and Stacey situation, which I hope she does it. But we like Monique and we want to see her. So I guess if that's what she has to do, not for the full season, maybe like for the first or second episode, okay, go with it. But don't get to the point where it's a whole bunch of back and forth. Like, let it go away. But I feel like Monique will come back full time. Giselle, again, I'm on the fence. I feel like she may come back in a friend of role. I feel like Dr. Wendy, oh, she's definitely coming back, because they got to drain that story dry. It's so much in there. So yeah, they definitely coming. She's definitely coming back, unless her attorneys tell her not to. That's the only way I can see her not coming back. Kiana, I don't like to see anybody lose their job, don't get me wrong, but I'll say this, I wouldn't like for her to come back. That storyline with her and Greg is tired, is over. He's not gonna marry you. You jumping on the bandwagon with people, I don't wanna see it anymore. I'm no longer interested. So she can go. Stacey, definitely they're bringing Stacey back. Stacey is a fan favorite. She is coming back full-time flute holder. I predict that. Early predictions. Angel, I think it's some storyline there that they can get out of her. And it might not be Monique and Stacey. It might be Monique and Angel, for the comments that she made when she compared her previous marriage to Chris Samuels with those traits of Angel and her husband. So there's a little bit of a storyline there between those two. So I think Angel will come back, and I think they're probably going to give her a second chance because she was, no matter if we did not like her on, throughout the season, she still was someone that made the headline. She was talked about a lot. So I think there's a little bit more to get from there. Tia, sorry, but you gotta go. What did she bring? Cute story, cute family, sad story about her father and her sister. That was so compelling. Oh, I loved it. Oh, but it ain't enough. So gotta go. Just like we gotta go. Thank y'all so much for watching this episode, this breakdown of the Real Housewives of Potomac, season 10, part 3 finale. We are done. Woo! Now we're on and ready for Real Housewives of Atlanta. Y'all saw the trailer. I did, and I am so hyped and so ready because I think those girls are gonna bring it. But we'll just have to see. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell so that way you don't miss another episode or when I decide to go live. I'll be talking to y'all a little bit more this week, so make sure you hit that subscribe. Talk to y'all later. Bye.